Good evening, it's News 360 coming to you live from the News Hub here at Adesawe Kanda. I am Portia Gabor.
And I am Martin Asiedu-Dartey. Let's bring you the headlines for the next 1 hour.
News 360 Headlines is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint,
Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal,
EcoBank.
Ghanaians react to historic removal of Chief Justice Gertrude Isaba Tokonu. We have details for you in a tad.
And also coming up tonight, high stakes as Akwatia gears up for crucial by-election.
Later in the bulletin, one person died in fatal accident involving an Ayalolo bus near the Cocoa Board office in Accra.
Coming up in business news, GPRTU considers increasing transport fares following recent cedi fall and rising fuel prices.
And on the international news, more than 800 people killed after a strong earthquake hits Afghanistan. You have details of all these stories and more. We always love to hear from you, so do let your comments come in.
Unfortunately, every step of the removal process being undertaken against me is being done in a manner that breaks every rule on how justice is delivered in our country. And this is why I find the need to draw the nation's attention to the serious violations of the Constitution and law in the process, and the danger it holds for the development of the nation's democracy. The second reason for making this statement is, though I'm in the process alone, its effects ripple far beyond me as a person. This process will affect how all Superior Court justices and future Chief Justices may be removed from office.
And Martin, the big news today, the removal of the Chief Justice.
Absolutely, and many people have been talking about it. We'll still try and get some legal perspectives on what all this means going forward and what Ghanaians have been saying about it. But the committee, the Article 146 committee, presented their report to the President. We'll just take our viewers through key highlights from that report that was presented to the President earlier today, after which the President decided to follow through with the recommendation of her final dismissal as the Chief Justice of the Republic. So what are some of the key issues we're looking at? So in all, we know that 12 witnesses were called to testify in support of the Chief Justice. Now, know that the committee had a meeting a number of times with the Chief Justice, and on the back of that, it had tried to interrogate and speak to other people. Some came in as witnesses. 12 of them came and spoke in support of the Chief Justice, indirectly saying that she should stay. Again, the committee said it received about 10,000 pages of documentary exhibits, which based on that informed their final decision, which was captured in the report. Again, 4 lawyers also met the committee, and these 4 represented the first petitioner. Now, mind you, 3 petitions were presented to the President asking for the removal of the Chief Justice. This report is just one of the petitions, and for that particular petition that the committee received from the President to interrogate, 4 lawyers represented the first petitioner. Again, 4 lawyers also came in to meet the committee, and they represented the Chief Justice, technically trying to argue out why they believe the Chief Justice should not be moved from office. And again, I mentioned that 3 petitions were submitted to the President. It's only one that the committee has concluded its investigations on and brought that report to the president. The second and the third petitions currently, as we speak, have been adjourned. And so we do know that the president's decision or the final outcome is based off of the report that was given to the president after the first petition was investigated, and thoroughly so, by the Article 146 committee. So yeah, that's what we do know in terms of highlights from that petition. Back to you, Portia.
Thank you so much, Martin. And President John Mahama has removed the suspended Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu with immediate effect. And the president's actions follows satisfaction with Article 1469 of the 1992 Constitution after receipt of recommendations of the Justice Puaman-chaired investigative report.
Under Article 1469 of the 1992 Constitution, the president is required to act in accordance with the committee's recommendation. In April 2025, the presidency announced that John Mahama had received petitions asking that Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu be removed from office.
The Constitution requires confidentiality on the part of all parties. It is the reason why the presidency, on behalf of His Excellency the President, has refrained from commentary on the matter.
Upon receiving the petitions and in line with Article 146 of the 1992 Constitution, the President forwarded them to the Council of State for advice in establishing a prima facie case. Following the determination of a prima facie case, the President in April 2025 suspended Justice Gertrude Tokonu and set up a 5-member committee to look into the petitions.
Once Ghanaian law dictates that certain processes be undertaken in respect of some alleged misconduct, the rules must come to play.
For 6 months, the Scott Puaman Committee received 3 petitions.
There has been considerable interest in our work, shown through comments and opinions by Ghanaians and international observers as well. However, the committee restrained itself all along from reacting, even when blatant false statements were made about members of the committee and our work.
In the interim, a justice of the Supreme Court, Justice Paul Bafuboni, was appointed to act as Chief Justice following the suspension of Justice Gertrude Tokonu in line with Article 146.
The Chief Justice testified personally and was cross-examined. The committee received about 10,000 pages of documentary evidence from both sides. There were 4 lawyers that represented the first petitioner, Daniel Ofori, and 4 lawyers represented the Chief Justice. Mr. President, after critical and dispassionate examination and assessment of all the evidence, including the expert evidence, against the provisions of the Constitution and the relevant laws, we have, without fear or favor, arrived at a recommendation on the first petition.
All proceedings of the committee was held in camera.
The recommendation is contained in the envelope which I now give to you.
Right, so many of you would definitely by now would know what the big story is. Let's go to Zoom now and speak to the Dean of the Law Faculty of the Mount Crest University College and former Director of the Ghana School of Law, Kweku Ansah Asare. Mr. Asare, good evening. Thank you for joining us on TV3.
Good evening, and thank you for having me on your show again.
I recall in the very early days of this news, when it broke, you had some very specific position. Now we seem to have come to some finality. What are your general views on the fact that it has traveled this distance and today the Chief Justice has been asked to, or has been not suspended, has been actually dismissed as CJ or head of the legal fraternity in Ghana?
Well, thank you. All I can say now is that apart from the swiftness with which the president announced the removal of the CJ, I think that the president has acted at every stage in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution, and therefore it is the rule of law that has won the day.
And we also do know that the CJ, prior to today's final verdict, had tried to fight the case in court to the extent that she even extended it or escalated it to the ECOWAS court. What, in your view, happens to her cases that she was trying to pursue, which were all linked to the final outcome we have been given today?
Well, this is an internal matter. ECOWAS cannot take any decision that, as it were, would interfere with our internal matters and our national sovereignty. I think that the former Chief Justice, if I may so describe it, took the matter too far. I would have thought that, she would have exhausted all the internal mechanisms, that our national laws provide. But by attempting to take the matter, out of the jurisdiction, of the Ghana court and going to ECOWAS and trying to, get sympathy from the Bar Council, England and Wales, was going too far. At the end of the day, this is an internal matter. Mind you, even Britain decided to opt out, of the EU because of what they perceived, to be interference, with their national laws. And therefore, the fact that we have an ECOWAS mechanism providing, some sort of comfort doesn't mean, that we should create some extraterritorial adjudicatory mechanism, for the resolution of our internal matters. That will simply not wash. And what the president has done, is to, send out, to the outside world that is in control. These are the master in charge, of our destiny, and is, in full control of internal affairs, and no one can dictate to him. I mean, ECOWAS, yes, but, their decisions may be binding, in honor only. Right. So it's a moral issue whether Ghana, will decide to abide by ECOWAS, intervention or not. This is an internal matter. I don't see how, an ECOWAS, court, right, can set aside decisions of our apex court. It's simply, unwarranted.
The Chief Justice, well, now former, you indicated that she probably should have exhausted all local legal processes before probably taking it outside the jurisdiction of the country. She actually tried, didn't she? Where I think on the first occasion, her plea or petition was dismissed by the courts on the grounds of which she felt she needed to take it out. And her other concern was that in and of itself, it raises concerns about how Chief Justice or a judge at the Superior Court could be removed. And these processes she questioned. Do you think that she had any legitimacy in trying to fight the case with the case she had, that if we allow the process to go on as is, it is detrimental to our legal jurisprudence?
You see, she should have cried her own cry. I don't think that being, more royalist than the king, or being, more Chief Justice than other Chief Justices will solve the problem. This is an internal matter. As head, of the judiciary of the Republic of Ghana, the former Chief Justice ought to have realized the enormity of the responsibilities bestowed on her by Article 125, Clause 4 of the 1992 Constitution. As such Chief Justice, one, she had to respect the Constitution, and respecting the Constitution meant respecting the constitutional processes, with respect to the CJ removal, process. And if she would not respect that, and yet she's the Chief Justice, then what is she respecting?
Right. Thank you so much. And before you take leave of us, what next for the Chief Justice? Where does she head next, you think?
Pardon me?
I'm asking what next for the Chief Justice. They were asking, for instance, that...
Oh, what next for the Chief Justice? She can either decide, to continue as a Justice of the Supreme Court or bow out in a dignified manner. This will be something between the Chief Justice, the Council of State, the Judicial Council, and the President. But what I would recommend is that she must be allowed, to exit in a dignified manner as a former Chief Justice, with all, benefits, intact. I don't think that, we have come to the end of the road in this matter. Good sense, has always prevailed in this country. And I know the president will live up, to expectation of the millions of Ghanaians who are interested in seeing that sanity prevails.
Right. Mr. Ansari, thank you so much for your thoughts on this particular issue that has dominated conversations, not just in conventional media, but on social media as well. And many of you have also been sending in your comments. We're happy that you're doing that. Let's go to the phone lines now and speak to Kofi Bentil with Imani Africa. Thank you so much, sir, for your time. As a policy think tank, clearly many have commended the president for towing the line of the Constitution. You would agree?
Well, you cannot fault the president when it comes to the processes that have been employed. I do not see any change. I think the Constitution has been followed, and he has made his decision. I may not be happy with the decision because I do think that for an office as high as the Chief Justice, the considerations must be more serious. But I cannot say that any process has been breached. So to the extent that the president has followed the Constitution, I think he has obeyed the law as it is written.
So what then are some of the concerns you had for which you thought maybe the president may have or could have considered in arriving at this decision?
Really the concern is that a precedent was set, okay? And instead of maybe that waking us up to a potential flaw in our Constitution, which we must therefore solve, we have not done that, but we have moved from a precedent to a development. And the development is that if things go the way they are going now, then every president is going to come in and appoint their own Chief Justice, appoint their own EC boss, appoint their own head of security. Simply because following the Constitution, somebody can raise a complaint, and regardless of the weight of the complaint, the president can go through the motions and then fire, the Chief Justice. I mean, we know, the whole country knows that the NDC and this president in particular had a problem with the Chief Justice. He said so openly in public and spoke about his lack of confidence in the Chief Justice. There were many utterances from the side of the NDC that they intended to remove the Chief Justice. So it was just a matter of going through the motions.
So you are saying, Mr. Bentil, that it is not just that the president followed what the committee he set up brought, but it was based on what he must have said prior to becoming president that must have informed this decision? Is that the position you're putting across?
That's not what I said. What I said is that there was clearly a premeditation to remove the Chief Justice because the president himself had spoken publicly and said he didn't have confidence in the Chief Justice to, do justice generally. And there have been many utterances from the side of the NDC that they were not happy with this Chief Justice and there will be attempts to remove her. So when that has been said in public, and then you come to a position where the president becomes president, and then somebody makes the complaint, and then the motions are gone through, you have a situation where somebody can say, well, this was premeditated, he just went through the motions to effect what they had already decided to do. And I'm saying that is difficulty. They didn't start it. All right, they didn't start it. It started from when Charlotte was removed. And I said that was a precedent.
Okay.
And the president should have woken us up to a certain potential slide, down, and then we maybe should have done something to solve it. But we didn't. And now that president has become a development. The development is that the old president removed the EC boss, the new president has removed the CJ, and I am hearing today, as we speak, the MPT saying when they come, they will remove the next one. So we have a situation where clearly the constitution is faulty.
Right.
It is faulty because it is unable to check the decision of the politicians.
Okay.
And they are able to use it to achieve their ends. Okay, and that is the problem that I have.
Mr. Bentil, thank you so much for your time. Kofi Bentil is Vice President of Imani Africa. Clearly, there's a conversation we'll keep tabs on and keep you posted subsequently.
And her appointment marked the continuation of women at the head of the judiciary, riding on the shoulders of two others, Georgina Wood and Sophia Ekufu. However, 20 months down the line, her tenure has been severed after she did not survive 5 petitions calling for her removal. Here's a report on the timeline of the tenure of the former Chief Justice, Gertrude Tokonu.
After dazzling Parliament's appointment committee following her nomination as the Chief Justice, Gertrude Saki Tokonu carved out the path as one of the youngest Supreme Court justices to take on the role, having been nominated in April 2023. But exactly 2 years into her tenure, President Mahama on 22nd April suspended her after a prima facie was established against her upon receiving 3 petitions asking for her removal. The president then set a 5-member committee to investigate the allegations in the petitions against her. While this was ongoing, Member of Parliament for Old Tafo, Vincent Asifwa, and a private citizen, Ebenezer Osei-Owusu, contested the method which was employed to suspend CJ Tokonu at the Supreme Court. The Apex Court, after hearing the injunction applications, dismissed them, citing no errors in the procedure. Justice Gertrude Tokonu also challenged the validity of the petitions and the committee members probing the petitions at the Supreme Court, the first of 3 legal challenges. The suspended Chief Justice, in her first public appearance, described the process as politically motivated, cruel, and unconstitutional. The reason, she added, she would not resign but will fight to the logical conclusion. She then escalated her case to the ECOWAS court.
Unfortunately, every step of the removal process being undertaken against me is being done in a manner that breaks every rule on how justice is delivered in our country. And this is why I find the need to draw the nation's attention to the serious violations of the Constitution and law in the process.
2 more petitions were filed asking for the removal of Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu, bringing the total number of petitions against her to 5. Last month, the Bar Council of England and Wales and the Commonwealth Lawyers Association, in a joint statement issued Thursday, August 14, criticized Chief Justice Tokonu's suspension, adding that it raised significant questions about judicial independence and constitutional safeguards. They therefore called for her reinstatement. Reacting to the development, however, the Attorney General, Dr. Dominic Aine, rebuffed the statement, stressing that Justice Gertrude Tokonu's suspension was fully compliant with the Constitution of Ghana and hence will not be lifted until a judicial inquiry is completed. Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu became the first Chief Justice to be removed from office. Lodi Dwasari, TV3 News, Akwa.
Let's now continue with the rest of our stories and focus on tomorrow's crucial by-election in Akwatia. An NDC parliamentary candidate, Bernard Baidu, has expressed confidence in winning tomorrow's polls. He spoke to Mawina Edbeta.
To the constituent here at Akwatia, which you believe will deliver the votes for you tomorrow?
Okay, thank you so much, and thank you for coming and having me as well. Okay, so as you know, we have roamed through the whole constituency. We've spoken to the people, we've met the chiefs, we've met opinion leaders, we've met politicians, we've met religious leaders. The problems with Akwatia are known. If you ask any, if you take your microphones around, you would hear varied opinions in terms of what should be done for Akwatia. What the issue really is not about the problems. It's about the solution. How do we get them solved? You've seen our infrastructure. We've seen some, let me say, young men who are roaming to resolve it. I have given them hope that beyond the fact that I'm a good advocate, which is known, what also inspires me is the fact that I am the leader of a political party in this election. Which political party has power currently? Which political party is John Dramani Mahama's political party? At the end of the day, there is a certain manifesto that is being run. You understand? The manifesto that is being used to govern currently is the NDC 2024 manifesto.
Let's now cross over to Akwatia and speak to our reporter on the ground, Mawina Edbeta. Thank you so much for your time, Mawina. Can you paint a picture of Akwatia to us a day before the crucial by-election?
Right, Portia, thank you. And so we're at the Collation Center right now. We know that today has officially been a day where campaigns all come to an end, but all throughout the day as we've been bringing updates, we've got to know that that's not been the case because there's been lots and lots of door-to-door campaigns undertaken by both political parties. But over here at the Collation Center, it's an interesting development because this is where, in very close proximity, is where the police have been stationed all throughout their 2 weeks plus stay at Akwatia. By there, the Inspector General of Police right now is engaging some of the police service personnel who will be deployed tomorrow to the various constituencies. We get the indication that at 12 a.m. on the 2nd of September, the men will return here and they will begin to escort the election materials to the respective polling stations, 119 as we know in number. But I just want to take you right now quickly into the Collation Center proper for you, because you see just by the side here they've begun to pack a lot of the election materials as well in readiness for tomorrow. Inside, we're getting to see a lot more of what is the sorting of the respective election materials to the respective constituencies expected to happen tomorrow. And so you see the political party agents applying their seals to these boxes before they head out to the polling stations tomorrow, from where they will break the seals, they will show the empty boxes to voters, and then it will be closed, and then new seals again will be placed on these ballot boxes. This is what it looks like, and we get the indication that a lot later, deep into the night, the police will be escorting these election materials or electoral materials to the respective polling stations and for voting to begin. So if you come to Akwatia, you can see for yourself work is actively underway by officials of the Electoral Commission, where voting is expected to start tomorrow at 7 a.m. and these election materials will be moving to the respective polling station. We also understand that some commissioners of the Electoral Commission will pay a visit to the Akwatia constituency tomorrow as well, and so we'll be on the lookout for that as well. In terms of security and police visibility, that's been quite strong. The police have their drones up in the sky where they'll be monitoring all the development in the constituency, seeking to ensure that this by-election is violence-free, and that's the latest in terms of the updates that we have. We'll continue to monitor it all throughout the evening as you see party agents actively applying their seals and making sure that all is set for tomorrow as we continue here on your Election Command Center, Portia.
Thank you so much for your time, Mawina Edbeta. So do make a date with us tomorrow, your Election Command Center, as we bring you updates on the by-election in Akwatia tomorrow.
All right. Still watching News 360 now. Let's go to some unfortunate news that we got moments before we came on, which has to do with the fact that one person has been confirmed dead while several others sustained injuries after an Ayalulu bus suffered brake failure and rammed into traders in Accra. The incident has prompted the Accra Metropolitan Assembly to roll out drastic measures, including a renewed exercise to clear roadside traders from the Central Business District. The accident was reported to have happened few minutes to 6 p.m. when the shoppers have gathered other cocoa board frontage to board vehicles back home after a busy day. The bus, which had failed its brake, rammed into the crowded place, killing one woman instantly. The deceased is yet to be identified by the Accra Regional Police Command. Is believed to have come to the shop to try and verify or find out what exactly must have happened. The other traders selling in the median pavement were also not spared as they were injured following the accident. Some also have their property and wares destroyed. The bus has since been towed from the accident scene. The Accra mayor, who was at the scene to obtain first-hand information, instructed the traders selling on the pavement to vacate the area. Let's listen to what we have been getting from the ground now.
Go to the market and sell for free. Fast service, they cheap. Space for marketing. Move for or free. Kajawalebi. Moko honey abia. Faris go kebagbe. Katamato. Moko honey agbeno. Wakwenye fight. Sit in our appoint to me keba office. In Babia Macbeth fire, in Macbeth fight. Then I say, hey, madam, Tashi. Madam, go father Tashi. Hello, go to she. Tashi, go father. Jawa Banya, single mother. Moko de boy. Come between. Kaji Grano, can't go. If I go. Madam,
Bottom line is just saying and appealing to the traders to move into the designated market area and not the pavement or roadside. Unfortunately, one person has died and is appealing to them to heed by the bylaws.
You're watching News 360 live from the News Up here at Desa Wikanda. We have business news coming up shortly. Do stay with us.
I love President Charcoal. Why? When there are so many other charcoal toothpaste. That's both charcoal and lemon. Oh, does it? Yes. Look right here. Yes. Pepsodent Charcoal.
Good evening and welcome to the business segment here on News 360. I am Michael Obodu. Now, the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, GPRTU, says it is considering cost of other inputs before a possible increase in transport fares. The move comes on the back of the recent depreciation of the cedi and hikes in fuel prices.
Industrial Relations Officer of the GPRTU, Abasimoro, says the union is currently weighing the cost of determining factors before any adjustment in transport fares is made.
If we are to come up with any changes in lorry fares, we are going to look at the spare parts, which hasn't experienced any reduction. We consider all these things before coming up with the 15% reduction. And here they haven't moved. So you can imagine it that we will just take little from some of these components and bring them together so that we can come up with a smiling upward adjustment in lorry fares.
Meanwhile, the GPRTU leadership is cautioning drivers against charging arbitrary fares until a final decision is taken.
We played with our colleagues, professional drivers, to take it easy. If we haven't gotten to where we have to increase lorry fares, they shouldn't do it on their own, because if you do that, it's illegal and it might look as if you are cheating on the public.
The share industry is valued at over $2 billion globally, yet Ghana earns just about $112 million a year, mostly from raw nut exports. Against this backdrop, the presidential initiatives in agriculture and agribusiness is pushing for stronger youth participation and value addition in the sector.
Ghana currently exports most of its share in raw form, earning modest returns compared to processed products that can fetch up to 10 times more on the international market. For Director of the Presidential Initiatives in Agriculture and Agribusiness, Dr. Peter Boama Otokuno, investing in value addition is central to turning shea into Ghana's next big export.
A lot to be done from the harvesting or the collection of the shea and the value addition processes, including the marketing and of the share. And so this share export affords government the opportunity to put the right issues in perspective.
We bring you updates now from the currency and the commodities market.
The potential to
And that'll be all for the business segment here on News 360. I am Michael Obodu. Up next is sports.
Sports segment is brought to you by
Sasso insecticide spray and coil.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on News 360. We start off with our first story where Coach Otoado and the Black Stars had their first training session at the Accra Sports Stadium ahead of the 2026 World Cup qualifiers against Chad and Mali. Here's a report put together by my colleague Billy Shen, who was at the training ground.
Now 10 outfield players and 2 goalkeepers made their way to the lush-looking Accra Sports Stadium pitch to train for the first time with the Black Stars as they prepare for the 2026 World Cup qualifiers against Chad and later Mali. Among the 12 players who reported to training are Gideon Mensah, we have Ibrahim Osman, Kamaldeen Suleimana, Ibrahim Suleimana and others. But conspicuously, Gideon Mensah did not warm up with the rest of the group. He was stretching separately from the group as they warmed up and partook in some rondo and some other exercises. Now, with regards to the other crop of players expected to join the camp, it's expected that most of the players would arrive in camp later on Monday evening, except Thomas Partey, who is expected to appear in the UK High Court regarding his ongoing case on September 2nd. But after that, he's expected to join up with the team who will train on Tuesday morning before flying to N'Djamena, that's the capital of Chad, and then train for the final time in Chad on Wednesday ahead of their game against Chad on Thursday. Now, Ghana are currently top of Group I in the 2026 World Cup qualifiers with 15 points to their name. And the fans who attended the session believe that the Black Stars will be able to get a good result against Chad.
Chad, you know, say they came to Ghana here, we scored them 5-0. When you go there, you score them 6-0.
All we expect is win at all costs because we believe that we're already in the US. So apart from win, we expect nothing again.
In terms of permutations, Ghana can actually secure a place in the 2026 World Cup during this window if they manage to win their next 2 matches. That will be against Chad and Mali. And also their other opponents, that is Comoros, Madagascar and the rest, drop significant points in this particular window. Billy Shen for 3 Sports from the Accra Sports Stadium.
Well, to some more stories where Kumasi Asante Kotoko over the weekend lifted the Champion of Champions trophy after a disastrous showing at the Galka Top 4 competition. The Porcupine Warriors edged Bibiani Gold Stars with a narrow 1-0 victory at the Dance Park on Sunday. Here's a report by my colleague Mutala Yakubu.
Yesterday, Asante Kotoko came all the way from Kumasi to defeat the Bibiani Gold Stars at the Dance Park in the Champions of Champions. That was played. It was played to the winner of last season's Bibiani Gold Stars and the winner of the FA Cup last season, which was Asante Kotoko. It was an intense game. First half that finished goalless, but in the second half, former Accra Lions defender Hamzata scored the only goal for Asante Kotoko as they clinched the squad. It was joy for Karim Zito, and it eased the pressure of him because their performance was not so good in the recently held Galka Top 4, which the Bibiani Gold Stars won.
But getting to the last match you play against Asafo, the second, you could see that my boys are now picking, they are not coming.
Yeah.
So we carried out to them. I told them, look, I trust you, I know what you can do. So we can go and then win the champion of champion here. And there's one thing I kept on saying, you can't be Zito twice. For that why I'm sure.
But for Bibiani Gold Stars, they were scratching their head, thinking that they need to do a few tactical tweaks before the season starts on September 12th, and also the attacks in the CAF Champions League.
For both teams, you could see, you couldn't even see the ball on the turf. It was an end-to-end stuff, which was not good for us.
Yeah.
So it was difficult to even create chance. So for me, yes, we had both teams didn't play well in the first half. So in the second half, I think it was, I wouldn't say a round of play, but it wasn't a game that they were dominating.
Okay.
You see, we couldn't defend the set play well, and that is how come we lost the game.
Now, before we wrap up, just some transfer news coming, especially with some Ghanaian interest. It was deadline day today for the summer transfer window. Ibrahim Sulemana has secured a deal to Bologna, a season-long loan deal from Atlanta with an option to buy. And then there's the case of Tariq Lamptey, who also moves from English side Brighton to Fiorentina and is expected to sign a 4-year contract signed for £6 million. You can get more updates on the transfers on our social media handles. My name is Oreku Ampofu, and up next on the bulletin is entertainment.
Lifestyled.
And Napa Foods. Heaven Black Insecticide Spray and Coil.
Powered by 3 Entertainment.
Well, good evening and welcome to the entertainment news segment here on News 360. My name is Noella Donko. Now, 2 contestants have ended their journey in this year's Ghana's Most Beautiful competition following Sunday night's eviction show, leaving just 12 finalists in the race for the coveted crown. Now, the latest evictees are Hima and Boatma, representing the Ahafo and Western North regions.
Women, say arise. Women! Arise. Women! Arise. Women, arise.
All 15 contestants brought their A game, delivering well-researched and passionate presentations with the looming possibility of eviction ringing in their minds. Through their performances, contestants paid tribute to remarkable women whose selfless contributions have driven the country's economic growth.
And bureaucracy system ruined our young girls. I broke the chain of bureaucracy system. Free young girls from slavery, from abuses and lost futures. I persuaded chief priests to accept animals, bring the animals.
But with eviction on the horizon, they knew that an outstanding performance alone wouldn't secure their spot. Public votes were just as vital.
I was never born a royal, but out of my courage, my descendants still hold a rightful place in the palace. This is not history. It is a call to every woman here to rise. You know why? Because you are not weak.
After 3 hours of impressive and heartfelt presentations, it was time to say goodbye to 2 contestants. Hima and Boatama, representing the Ahafo and Western North regions respectively, bowed out of the competition. They fell short of the required pass mark after combining both public votes and judges' scores. Despite their exits, the 2 expressed gratitude for the platform, the exposure and the invaluable lessons they've gained on this journey.
It has been the best performance so far, but the unfortunate happened, and it's part of life, so why not? Life still goes on. Let's get going.
I really thank them for the opportunity they gave me. I really appreciate everything here. The learning process, the transformation process, it means a lot to me, and I'm going to stick to it. Upon everything, still, I am a queen from Ahafo region. Yeah.
In a standout moment, Etonam from the Volta region was crowned Star Performer of the Week.
At the initial stage, it wasn't the outcome I was expecting because I was quite disappointed. My story was changed at the latter part of the week, and I had to, go back, do preparation, memorization, and all of that. However, when we got to the end of everything, we realized that, no, this is actually good. So we decided to put in all the work that it deserves, and it has paid off.
Etonam goes home with Star Performer, and she's getting products from...
And that's it for the Entertainment News segment here on News 360. My name is Noella.
Thank you, Noella. Coming up, international news.
More than 800 people have been killed and nearly 3,000 injured after a 6.0 magnitude earthquake struck eastern Afghanistan just before midnight on Sunday, the United Nations Humanitarian Agency has said. Most of the deaths occurred in Kuna province, officials say, warning that the death toll may rise significantly as entire villages have been destroyed. The epicenter was in a remote mountainous area, making it difficult for rescue operations to be carried out. The scale of devastation is unimaginable, a Taliban official said. Jailed Ugandan opposition figure Kizza Besigye boycotted the start of his treason trial on Monday, accusing the presiding judge of bias. His attorney said Besigye's months-long detention shone a spotlight on President Yoweri Museveni's human rights record ahead of polls early next year in which Museveni, 80, is seeking re-election. The trial of Besigye and his aide, Obed Lutale, was supposed to start on Monday after months of delay, but both defendants decided to boycott the proceedings after the judge, Emmanuel Baguma, refused to recuse himself.
And that's it for our package this evening. Thank you so much for watching. I am Martin Asiedu-Dartey.
And I am Portia Gabor. Do join Alfredo Kansa at 10 p.m. for Ghana tonight. Good evening.